Maybe we had some audio in that Nike spot that was from the clips themselves, but for the most part, that was handcrafted, right?
The world's sporting events are...
We're juxtaposing all these different images. So even though we might be showing hockey...
Ryan, hockey is the one thing Nike doesn't do.
Lost in space, but that's okay. Climb aboard the brand spaceship today.
We have Joao on our show, and Joao is our lead creative here at My Lady, and we thought it would be fun if we show some of Joao's favorite videos, favorite ads, and Ryan and Joao disagree about them.
I have one more that I can send that it's not funny like the others, but it's the one that motivated me to write this down. That someone who's great at post can be great at ideas and concepts and presenting something. Someone who's great at post can be great at ideas and concepts and presenting something.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Someone who's great at post is a great writer.
Yeah, because this video, maybe we can watch it first, but a lot of the work on this was done before the actual shoot.
Yeah, let's go.
My name is Paul Holes. I'm a retired investigator. I've devoted my life to taking on the toughest cases. There are hundreds of unsolved crimes that need to be solved. Join me on that journey, because justice is served when the bad guys go away.
Yeah, that's great. I'm not sure. That may not have been that high a budget, right? That might have been them trying to work within a budget they had set for the promotion of this show. There may not be a ton. And they're like, no, we have this great idea. And they tried to make it work. Wonderful. You know, we're on a stage. We build a small set. We just have projection mapping everywhere. I dig it. I'd like to rip that off, you know? I'm just kidding.
Mm-hmm. All of the setup, all of the shots, all of the stuff that you're projecting on the walls, they have to be ready beforehand. That's the kind of thing that suddenly you don't have the pressure of having to do everything during the shoot.
That's very interesting. What could you give to your editor, right? If you work in a world where you're projecting visuals, it's like all of a sudden the editor, the visual effects team or whatever, they're working ahead of time to create assets. When we did those videos for Ash Rains, there was 5 different LED backgrounds, and then it was done. Right? Like, it was like we had to make the LED background, and then it went, oh, this is what it looks like when we project the LED backgrounds. All right, she better look that way. And then lighting was way easier too, because then you just went, that's really red. Turn it off, turn on this. We need a spot. There's a lot of benefit doing projection, or in virtual production, knowing what it'll look like. It does make it much more fluid on set and feel like you're just at a location.
Can I share a last one?
Yeah, please.
It's also kind of in that overall area of a lot of research, a lot of pre-production. This one had minor live action production, but a lot of editing. This one is pretty famous. You guys must have seen it before.
Oh yeah, this is the best.
This is amazing.
We like to talk about Nike here at the Brand Spaceship.
We're never alone. And that is our strength. Because when we're doubted, we'll play as one. When we're held back, we'll go farther and harder. If we're not taken seriously, we'll prove that wrong. And if we don't fit the sport, we'll change the sport. We know things won't always go our way.
And the world's sporting events are postponed or cancelled.
But whatever it is, we'll find a way. And when things aren't fair, we'll come together for change.
We have a responsibility
to make this world a better place.
And no matter how bad it gets, we will always come back stronger. Because nothing can stop what we can do together.
question, did that come out during the pandemic?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's called How Do We Spend Our Budget? We Can't Go Shoot Things. Freaking fantastic. I had seen that before, but I hadn't really thought about it. It's absolutely a lovely, lovely spot. This to me is what we would talk about as upcycling. How do you take content and put it against other content in the process of editing and tell a new story? All that is voiceover plus split screen. Frank, okay, so not all. I assure you there's so much visual effects stuff going on in there that you're not aware of, like altering the shots so that they perfectly line up. They found shots, I'm sure, that were very, very close. One of the secrets of filmmaking in the last 5 years specifically is there's a lot more visual effects than you know. Like everyone's like, yeah, Tony Stark, that's a fake person. You know what I mean? Like when he's in the Iron Man suit, that's not really real when he's flying through space, because that's obvious. But when you start to break down films or high-end commercials, you start to realize that there's alteration happening that you didn't know was happening. That's why, again, to go back to that ad we just did for the bikes, we can play that to show like went from A to B. And that's an example we've done where no one saw that shot and went, oh, that must be a visual effects shot. But that has a ton of visual effects shots. But it is the writing and the research and the grabbing of editorial content. But you understand what I mean. The filmmaking is in the editing. It's the classic upcycling. It's why you want an asset library. In the case of Nike, all sports at this point are their library to choose from, right? They can really choose any sports, and as long as they license it, it's like clearly Nike, because Nike is representative of this point of exceptionalism within sport. But this is a great example of why we would suggest that having an asset library make, right? So you have more tools at your disposal to create more unique assets just by juxtaposing that footage against each other. There's a version of this where they're just re-editing footage from old Nike commercials, right? That are just their specific asset library and telling that new story. But that's award-winning. I'm sure that's won a bunch of awards. It's fantastic.
Staff pick. I love the conversation of editing is storytelling, just because every image, every moving image has implicit emotional attachment to it, and what emotion you get out of the moving image is depending on how it's presented. So there, where you have that image of somebody stretching and getting ready for their match, it doesn't evoke strong emotions if you just watch it in that context. But then if you take it and you combine it and you put it with other clips that tell a narrative, there's just so much power there, and that's the basis of upcycling, right? Taking something that means one thing and turning it into a new pitch, a new proposition, a new emotion.
Right. Like I'm just, there's someone, they're putting their shoes on, and then you cut from a shot of the shoe to the shoe crossing a finish line. All of a sudden the emotion is completely so what you're getting at, Jared, is like editing is the juxtaposition of imagery used to create emotion that wouldn't happen independent of that juxtaposition. It's the juxtaposition of multiple things that create a totality of emotion. This is also true for sound, right? A lot of times what we'll end up doing is we will get a pacing right, but we're like, oh, it doesn't feel quite right. And then it's all about finding the right music or lack thereof. Maybe there's no music. Maybe where you shot was a little more rural, but it needs to sound a little more urban. You're going to add that sound design, because all of the pieces of the puzzle change the emotional reaction. There's a treasure trove of storytelling just hidden within, as we call it, upcycling, right? The juxtaposition of different images that by themselves have one feeling in order to create a new emotion.
And maybe like a example of this, and it's not to dunk on the Big Bang Theory, but there's a video on YouTube of the Big Bang Theory, the studio audience like canned laughter and stuff, and it's just the scene.
Get one yourself.
And it just plays them out.
Ooh, somebody's been taking bitchy pill.
And there's no laughter, and it almost is dark, because it's just like these people being very, very, very rude to each other.
He's an ass when he doesn't. You just don't hear it.
And without the comic relief of the canned laughter, it just turns into something completely different. And so that's like a great example of how sound, even more so than you think, changes an emotion.
I think we can can this for a future Brand Spaceship episode. I think it'd be great to find multiple of those and watch them and talk about them. Talk about things where the sound is creating the emotion and it gets extracted, because that's very, very true. Even there, maybe we had some audio in that Nike spot that was from the clips themselves, but for the most part, that was handcrafted, right?
The world's sporting events.
We need to make it feel unified. We need to make these things feel connected. We're juxtaposing all these different images. So even though we might be showing hockey.
Ryan, hockey is the one thing Nike doesn't do.
and then we're showing tennis, and then we're showing running. All of those should feel unique while also a part of the same whole. And the work there is done by sound. It's the trick. It's the way you take something and you bring it to the next level, in my opinion. Sometimes visual effects, sometimes color correction, but sound is tried and true. If you can knock out of the park emotion from sound, I think you could shoot anything on an iPhone and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, totally.
Every cinematographer disagrees with that, but I really believe that sound is at least twice as important as visual.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, there's a reason that music and podcasts still exist and silent films do not.
Nice. I think that's a good ender. Shout out to producer Jared for putting this together, to Joe for choosing Great Clips, which is a local haircut place to me. Not in space when I'm back home.
Oh, okay. I was like, you got a barber up there?
All right. Love to you both. I think this was great. We got a review of this?
I had a lot of fun. I like this. There's so much. We're going to have to cut this out because I don't want to be, kissing up on you guys.
Keep it.
There's so much expertise in your two brains.
Yes, Jared. I guess for humans, maybe.
Same time next week where we're going to have the best episode you ever saw. It's going to change your life. And if you don't watch, I just might.